stress, we know, alters the gut microbiome. It kind of works both ways. There is this thing called the brain gut microbiome axis, and they just basically have this bidirectional communication. So the brain communicates down to the gut. So when we're stressed, there's changes at the gut level, right? Don't some of us have IBS? And when we get stressed, our GI symptoms act up? The reverse also happens. If we have an unhealthy gut microbiome, that changes the types of neurotransmitters that are produced, and that can lead to anxiety, low mood, depression. So it's all connected. You can't, in Western medicine, we tend to think of the body as these disconnected pieces. We give an organ to each doctor and we make them go specialize in it without really, thinking about how all the pieces fit together. But at lifestyle medicine, in functional medicine or integrative medicine, everything is connected for better or worse, right? So what happens when we feel emotional stress is that hormones are released, the nervous system puts out molecules, and that has an impact on not just our gastrointestinal health or gut health, but also our immune system. And remember, I said the gut microbiome is at the intersection of, stress and our physiology. So the gut microbiome actually might be the thing that's having a big role in translating that stress into changes in the gut microbiome. So stress can damage your microbiome, but building up your healthy microbiome can actually help you feel more calm, at ease, less anxious, for example. So how do we de-stress? Okay, I love this picture of this woman just cuddling up with her pet. I'm not a cat person, but even when I look at this picture, I can kind of feel the good hormones flowing through people when they hug something they love. So first of all, what stresses in your life can you remove, right? Let's start there. I bet there are things you could do today to make yourself less stressed. And some things take, a longer term approach. And then for whatever stress is left over, like we've got to find ways to manage that stress. So for some people, it's a mindfulness practice. I'm toying with spending a lot of time in nature to see how that feels on my nervous system. Doing things that are joyful. You don't always have to go sit in silence for 45 minutes. You could dance in your kitchen or dance with your kids, spend time with people that make you feel good, move your body and exercise. For me, that's my meditation, is getting on my treadmill and running as fast as I can, and not being able to think about anything else because I'm so focused on that activity. So anytime you can focus on something where you kind of lose sense of time and space, that's great when you're in flow. Maybe that happens with prayer, a hobby. Also, doing nothing. This might be the hardest thing, actually, to do nothing. It's something I'm working on. It's actually very, very challenging for me to do nothing because it really, goes against everything I've always thought I should be doing. But I'm giving myself permission to do nothing, and I'm slowly getting better at it. All right, so let's talk about how food and nutrition interact with the gut microbiome. One of the fastest ways to change your microbiome is through food. So look at this woman is offering you, a broccoli or a donut. Remember, epigenetics tells us that what we choose of these two is going to have a different impact on what genes are turned on and what pathways are turned on. So hopefully that helps you make a different decision more of the time. Changes are transient, so you could eat a super healthy diet for 3 days and rapidly change your microbiome. Like just 3 days can shift your microbiome. But if you stop and go back to your old ways, your microbiome will revert back. And so these changes are transient, but what we have to do if we really want to change the microbiome is to keep promoting change by eating the prebiotics and the probiotics and the plants and these really densely nutritious foods, which are basically plant-based foods. So if we have to talk about eating a good diet, what is a good diet? Eat real food. So skip the things that are in packages and they're processed. They've got an ingredient label, which ironically is called a nutrition label. It's not, generally nutritious things that are listed in that nutrition label in the ingredients. So eat real food as it grows in nature, mostly plants. I always tell people, try to get to 80% of the real estate on your plate, hopefully is at least 80% plants. And that's not just vegetables, it's nuts, seeds, beans, whole grains, herbs, spices. Choose organic to skip the pesticides. Many of these pesticides and herbicides are neurotoxic. None of us need more neurotoxins in us, right? We want to be protecting our nervous systems. Choose non-GMO as much as possible. This is tricky because labels aren't always easy to understand, but the best we can do is to see if something's labeled as non-GMO. Skip the sugar as much as possible. You're not going to get it down to 0, but if you can get it down as low as possible and, once in a while indulge in something in small amounts, I think that's a good way to go. And remember, prebiotics and probiotics. So prebiotics are the foods with the good fiber that feed your good bugs, and probiotics are the foods we eat that contain the healthy microbes to reintroduce them back into our GI tract. Interestingly, I think I've read that whether or not you get your probiotics from food or a supplement, they generally hang out in your gut for about 3 to 5 days. So this is why you need to keep reintroducing them. And we can do that. We can start incorporating these fermented foods into our diet every day. Let's talk about how sleep and the microbiome are connected. They're actually tightly intertwined. This was a study of 26 adults, and these were not patients with MS. I could not find any study with MS. However, people who had a more diverse microbiome ended up having greater sleep efficiency. So they spent more hours sleeping with less awakenings. Okay, so you can see how boosting up your microbiome will help improve sleep. And if you can improve sleep, inflammation comes down. So how do we work on sleep? I think sleep and rest tend to be very elusive unless we're being very intentional about it. Like you got to put yourself on a program and really commit to it. So it's your bedtime routine starts in the morning when you wake up. Hopefully you are outside and spending at least 30 minutes under natural light, rain or shine. Okay. Natural light is actually very much more intense than what you get inside your home from your home lighting. And when you're spending time outside early in the day, you're winding up your circadian clocks. You're telling your cells and your circadian rhythms, hey, this is daytime. So let's do all the daytime stuff now. And maybe in 12 hours, we can start winding down and shifting into nighttime physiology, which is actually profound and never gets any attention. We think of sleep as like nothingness, but it's actually a time where a lot of profound things happen at the cellular level. It's when we're cleaning up the gut and consolidating memories, right? It's when we kind of start filing away what memories and events we want to keep and what we want to prune and give away, and we don't need it. So we talked about spending time outside under natural light. If you can't get outside, at least open the curtains and go sit under a window. Also, exercise daily helps because it is the most powerful regulator of nighttime sleep. If you want to improve the quality of your sleep where it's deeper, please exercise every day. There's just nothing like it. There is no medication that can rival what exercise can do for your sleep quality at night. Then you got to have your bedtime routine. So at what time are you willing to put away your devices, stop working, whether it's for your job or just around the house, and to go into rest and relaxation mode? We all need that time to let our bodies unwind. Because remember, you told your brain in the morning that that was daytime. So now your brain is expecting you to start slowing down so that it can prepare for this transition into sleep. So this is what a bedtime routine is all about. Stop doing stressful things. Do something that's relaxing and that feels good. Like, you deserve that. Everybody deserves a little bit of time, hopefully 1 to 2 hours a day, where they're doing something they love. And hopefully, if it's relaxing, you do it right before bed. Okay, moving on to how exercise and the gut microbiome are intertwined. Um, so when we exercise, we actually promote better cellular health, because exercise is a short-term stress that kind of shakes up your systems and winds them up so that they're ready to go, whether it's your mitochondria, whether it's hormones, whether it's your gut microbiome. So when you exercise, by exercise, I mean like whatever way you want to move your body. Maybe it's just being seated and using resistance bands with your arms. If movement is very limited for you, maybe somebody passively moves your body, your arms and legs for you, right? There's lots of ways to adapt exercise to feel good to your body. When we move our bodies, our muscles, our cells have to respond by putting out more energy. And so we build more mitochondria, and our existing mitochondria work better, right? And as a result of just this movement and added short-term stress, we end up developing a healthier gut microbiome. And so we think, again, the gut microbiome is sitting there translating the benefits of exercise to creating a healthier mitochondria system, a healthier hormone system. So again, the gut microbiome is really important as a central sort of processing center to translate information from the environment into what is going to happen to us on a physiologic level. And there's data that shows that people who are more sedentary or people who do extreme exercise can actually damage their gut microbiome. This actually makes me think of Olympians, right? Extreme training, many, many hours a day of, this physical activity can actually damage the gut microbiome. It's interesting, for a lot of athletes, for women, for example, their HPA axis, which is the hormone axis, can actually shut down, right? If you're undergoing extreme physical stress, maybe that's your training, your body goes, that's not a good time to have a baby. Let's stop menstruating, right? Because your body can't support a pregnancy. And so that's like the wisdom built into our bodies. So anyways, never want to be extreme, just do normal exercise that feels good to you. And so choose exercise that's fun, because you just won't do it if you hate it. Schedule it and honor it. You showed up to this session today. If you put your exercise on your calendar, maybe you'll start showing up to that too regularly. I think a good question to ask yourself is, how does my body want to move today? I don't think every day you're going to want to do your routine that's maybe at the top of your ability. Some days your body just might feel like it needs to rest and needs to be nurtured. So maybe that's a day where you do something like a restorative yoga, even if it's 5 minutes, right? And maybe if you are feeling good, you work towards increasing your exercise intensity by 5 or 10%. If you walk, maybe you pick up your walk or go on an incline. If you use resistance bands, maybe you use the tighter ones where you have to exert a little more pressure, or you spend more time in doing exercise. Okay, and then I also want to talk about the impact of just pollutants in the environment on the gut microbiome. I always feel just like a little bit of sadness when I see somebody walking around and spraying pesticides, because they're actually getting it all over their bodies, and then they go home and then they give it to their families and children. And it's also very bad for the environment, and it gets into the water systems and it gets into the air, so you can breathe it in as you're walking by that place. So your gut microbiome actually does detox for you. It is involved in removing medications, hormones, and just ordinary pollutants out of your body. Because if our liver and our gut microbiome didn't do that, we would go into a toxic state and we wouldn't last very long. So toxins do damage the gut microbiome. There was a study that showed pesticides damaged the gut microbiome, and that led to obesity and insulin resistance. There are toxins out there like BPA found, in plastics that are obesogens. They lead to obesity. It's not the only reason people become obese, but it's one factor. And so in this process where we think that toxins lead to obesity and problems with insulin, we think that the gut microbiome sits at the core of that and is kind of passing on the information. Okay, so how do we cut toxic exposures? Well, first of all, let's get exposed to less stuff. And so some of the highest yielding things you could do is get an air or water filter, a HEPA air filter, and hopefully a reverse osmosis carbon filter. All those products you put on your body, shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, makeup, hopefully they're non-toxic because you're putting them right on your body and they're entering. Cleaning products, you don't need bleach. You don't need all of those scented products. Really, truly, all you need is a spray bottle of water and vinegar, mix 50-50. Maybe you put a couple of drops of soap in there that's non-toxic, like Dr. Bronner's soap. Sometimes I even put essential oils in there. That is enough to clean toilets and bathrooms. Yes, you do have to keep up with it, but let's not create these ultra sterile environments where we lose access to ordinary bugs that fine tune our immune systems. Think about if you're going to buy any furniture or bedroom furniture, bedding, pillows and mattresses, choose non-toxic. If you're on a foam mattress and as that thing is breaking down, you're breathing those molecules in, and it's an exposure. So hopefully you're spending 8 to 9 hours with your bedding. Make that non-toxic. Spend money there. Don't buy a lot of stuff, but buy good stuff. And support detoxification. This is something we never talk to our patients about in Western conventional medicine. Even our liver doctors aren't really talking to people about detox. But this is the process of taking unwanted things that enter the body and getting them out. And your liver and your gut microbiome do a lot of detox for you. So how do we do more detox? Eating more plants, drinking enough water to pee things out. You got to open the exit doors, have a day about, oops, lost my slide there. Sorry about that. Oh, there it is. Okay. So to support detoxification, you want to eat a lot of plant-based foods. You want to make sure you're hydrated, daily bowel movement. Remember, these are your exit doors that are going to get stuff out. And even sweating is a way to remove toxins from the body. When you sweat, make sure you wipe it off so they don't get reabsorbed back into the body.